Okay, today I'm going to do a review of my newest gun, my Benjamin Sheridan HB22. This gun is made completely of metal where there is absolutely no plastic on it. Even the rear sight and the front sight are metal. The rear sight, though, is also one of this gun's weaker points. It's only adjustable for elevation by turning this screw here, and it should be adjustable for windage because the gun does shoot a little bit to the left. Depending on how far you're at 25 feet, you probably don't even notice this. But if you're shooting my full range I have here, 15 yards, then you'll have to have about 2 inches of lead on each of your shots. But other than that, this is a pretty good gun. The only other weak point is the trigger. The trigger pull is quite hard. When you cock it, you have to cock it by pulling this silver knob back and twisting it. Make sure you don't pull it straight back, because if you do, eventually you'll wear down the internal parts. This works just like a bolt on a rifle. You have to turn it, then pull it. It's not something you pull out, so keep that in mind or else you'll ruin the gun. The safety is metal also. When you pull the trigger doesn't have, you can't really squeeze this trigger that well, because 1 minute it's not pulled, and then the next it just snaps back, so it doesn't have the greatest trigger. I've never messed with the trigger spring, which is found behind these grips, so if you want to get access to that, you just have to take the screw off. But other than that, those two weak points, this is a great gun. It's pretty accurate. I got this gun at dlairgun.com. It ships airguns into Canada because almost every US site, they just don't ship to Canada, unfortunately, and but you get a better price from this Canadian company anyway if you live in Canada, which kind of sucks because in Canada you can't have anything over 500 feet per second without a firearms license. And this gun shoots at 460 feet per second. It's 22 caliber, and I'll show you a target from that I shot the other day at about 30 feet. At about 30 feet, it shoots a group about this big. This one is a flyer right here, so that's probably my fault. But there are three shots right here, and there's one here. These two here those weren't shots from this gun. This was just something else. I don't even know how these holes got here. But that was not from this gun if you look closely even. This hole is obviously much bigger than this. These are 177 flatheads that made this hole, so ignore those. But if you're looking for a good gun for a decent price, just to shoot in your backyard or in your basement, this is a really good choice. If you want semi-automatic, the guns I can recommend that I have so far are the Walther Umarex CP Sport, which is semi-automatic, fires 8 shots per clip, CO2 powered, or the Umarex Desert Eagle, also semi-automatic, fires 177 pellets with an 8-shot clip. And the really fun thing about this gun is the slide goes back with each shot. I also have a review on the two guns I showed you, also on YouTube, so if you want to check those out, go right ahead. One last thing about this gun is it also feels very sturdy in your hand. The only thing that felt flimsy at first was the grip and trigger assembly. If you did this, it would shake, they kind of wiggle. But the way to fix that is very simple. There's a screw here and a screw in the trigger guard. You need to have an Allen wrench, and you can tighten that real quick. And then it feels very, very solid in your hand. And even before I tightened those 2 screws, the gun didn't wiggle when I was shooting. It was only when you'd actually wiggle the thing, so it didn't really affect performance at all. But this is a great gun, and if I were you, I'd buy it if you're looking for just a good plinker in the backyard. But keep in mind that the trigger isn't the best quality, and the rear sight could be adjustable for windage, but it isn't. Oh yeah, and one other thing, this pump handle, at first is quite stiff. It does loosen up considerably over time. I've had this gun for about 3 or 4 months now, and I shoot it almost every day. And the pump handle, it's almost effortless now. And the trick is, don't just pump it like this, because you'll be working a lot harder. Put your fingers on top of the barrel and use that to clamp down on it. And I'll just give you an idea how loud that is with just 3 or 4 pumps. And it sounds quieter when there's actually a pellet in the barrel. So yeah, I'd highly recommend this gun to anyone who's looking for a good air gun.